Okay, in this video I'm going to talk about the double negation rule, but before I do that, let's look over here. So you know, just from English, that two negations, two nots, cancel each other out. So therefore, in our TFL language, be and not be mean the same thing. Similarly, not be and not be mean the same thing. I mean, you're never going to see this one, but nonetheless, it means the same as this. And the way to think about that is this is a unit, and then on this side, this is also a unit. Then what we have is this unit with two knots in front of it. So it's really the same as what we have here on the same line. Okay, now over here, not be, as you know, is not the same, is the opposite of both be and not be. Be and not be are both the denial of not be. If one person says not be and you say either be or not be, if you were talking that way, then you'd be denying what they say. Okay, but importantly, only not be is the negation of not be. So again, if we treat this as one unit, then it's just this one that is the unit with a not in front of it. Okay, so that's going to be important in a second. All right, now down here, the double negation rule is very simple. If we have anything on one line, let's say C, then using this rule on a new line, we can put not C. When we do that, of course, just as we said up here, we're not changing the meaning of what we have, excuse me, we're not changing the meaning of what we have here on line 3, so it's fine to do at any point in our proof. And we would just cite that as DN for double negation and the line that has our original letter, or it can be a sentence, on it. Okay, so when would we ever need to use the double negation rule? The most common time, and the time you're going to see coming up, is when you're using the disjunction elimination rule. So for this rule, recall that you need one line that has a disjunction, in this case A or B, and then you need another line that is the negation, not just the opposite, or not just the denial, but the negation of one half of the disjunction. So in this case, we have B up here, and here we have not B, so that means we can put on a new line A. All right, so just recalling that, let's look at a proof here where we have to use the disjunction elimination rule, and we'll also have to use the double negation rule. Okay, so here we have not P or Q as our premise, and our conclusion is if P, then Q. Okay, so we're going to need to get this conclusion, we're going to need to use the conditional introduction rule. So on line 2, I'm going to start a subproof, and my assumption is going to be P. Okay, so now I've got not P or Q on the first line and P on the second line. So what I want to do is use the disjunction elimination rule, but what I have here on line 2 is not the negation of not P. I mean, it is the denial of not P, it is the opposite of not P, but it's not this with one more not sign in front of it. So in order to use the disjunction elimination rule, I need to have a line that has this with one more negation sign in front of it. So for that, I use the double negation rule. So here on line 3, I'm going to put not P, double negation, line 2. Okay, so now what I have here is the negation of this not P, not P. So that means that on a new line, I can put Q, and that's going to be wedge elim, lines 1 and 3. Okay, so now I have the consequent of my conditional. So on the next line, on line 5, I can put P arrow Q, arrow intro, lines 2 through 4. Okay, so this is just like problems you've seen already, except that we had to use the double negation rule. So for that, you need to add another line to your proof, but otherwise it's just the same as using, once you've done that, then you can use the wedge elim and you can get your conditional. Okay, here's a second example. So my premise is not C or B and D, and my conclusion is if C, then D. Okay, so on line 2, I'm going to start with C as my assumption. Okay, so again, I want to use wedge a limb, but I've got not C here and only C here. So I need to use double negation to get not C. So that's DN line 2. Now on line 4, I can put B and D. So that's wedge a limb, 1 and 3. Let's see, so I want D. So okay, line 5, I'm going to do and a limb on line 4. So now I have my consequent. So back along our main vertical line here, I'm going to put C arrow D, and that's arrow, intro lines 2 through 5. Okay, and we're done. I'll stop here. If you have questions, you can email me. And of course, you'll see some problems where you need to use the double negation rule in CARNAP.